All right, let's get started. So this is the Megaport live tech drop-in Fridays. We run these just about every week, and so thank you if you're watching live or you're watching this later. Thanks for joining us. My name is Brian Bowman. I am a solutions architect here in North America. I'm out of the Atlanta, Georgia area, and so I'll be kind of your host today, leading. And I'm also have Mike Elmore with me. You want to say hi, Mike?
Good afternoon and good morning. I look forward to chatting with you.
All right, and so you get two of us today, two solutions architects. So a little bit of a change up, but we look forward to talking with you today. So we kind of get a little bit of free reign over the topic, and so I kind of wanted to do something that's been kind of top of mind. A lot of my customers have been asking me about how to set this up, and so what we're going to do is we're going to set up what's called, or what we call like a virtual POP or a virtual network POP. And so we're going to start with an existing configuration, and that's what I'm showing you right here. So let me just walk through this real quick, and then we're going to set up a virtual network POP in a different region, and just show you how easy that is to set up. So this existing configuration, like I said, I'm in Atlanta, so I chose my data center down in Atlanta. So this is my private data center in the QTS facility. And I have, my colo built out there, private cloud, with a Megaport out of there. Now, a lot of our customers, they'll start out with just a port, right? They'll set up a port. Maybe they go to cloud with a VPN first, like an IPsec tunnel, and then they need something more stable. So they get a Megaport, right? And they build their connections to the cloud. This example I'm showing you is adding another element to that. So this customer, or this hypothetical customer, has what we call Megaport Cloud Router, and that is turned up in the Virginia area or the Washington, D.C. area, and it's meant to be close to those cloud providers. So the point of this is now I can do cloud-to-cloud routing local, very low latency, connect that traffic direct between, in this case, AWS and Google. And anything that needs to go down to the data center can go across that private network down into my Atlanta data center. And this example, I have users hanging off that Atlanta data center. I got a FortiGate appliance out there, a physical FortiGate appliance, and I'm bringing in my remote users via SD-WAN or whatever methodology, right? SSL, IPsec, whatever it is. And so this is my existing setup. Now, this hypothetical customer, we're going to talk about what's called virtual POP, right? And what I want to do is give you just a real quick high level of what we call MVE or Megaport Virtual Edge. This is the ability to turn up compute space around the globe, deploy a variety of OEM solutions. You could see some of the logos on this slide, drop it on that compute space, leverage the Megaport compute, the Megaport private backbone, Megaport internet, and basically create these points of presence around the globe. And so this hypothetical customer primarily set up on the East Coast. Maybe they have users in a different region, right? Out West, maybe West US or Europe or APAC or wherever. Or maybe they have extranet or external partners or customers they want to connect to. The virtual POP is a great solution for that. And so what this looks like is you pick a location on the Megaport backbone, you set up that Megaport Virtual Edge, you drop on that license that you want, whatever supplier you're used to working with, and then you interface with that device via that supplier's portal. And so today we're going to use a FortiGate solution in the demo, and we're going to drop it on a device in London and show you how easy it is to connect to the backbone. Okay, so let me get out of here, and we're gonna just kick this off in the portal, and then I'll show you a drawing of that. So, like I said, the existing customer, we're already set up on the East Coast of the US. I'm gonna kind of drill in here. So I got my Megaport Cloud Router here, set up in this data center in Reston, Virginia. I've got 2 cloud connects going into my cloud region, which is US East 1 for AWS, and there you go, and Google. USE's 4 for Google. So it's those two connections are already in place. And then I got my connection, of course, down to Atlanta. And you might see this port is down right now, or it's not in an up state. And that's just because I haven't gone out there and actually plugged in a router to that device. But if it were, this would be green, of course, and that port would be up. And so this network is already set up. I can also go over here to the services view, which is a little bit different visibility into it. So here's my cloud router. I got my GCP connection, my AWS connection, and then my connection down to Atlanta. So what we're going to do is create a Megaport Virtual Edge in Western Europe or in the UK area. And so we're going to drop it in London. And I'll just pick any one of the data centers that I want to deploy this device in. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into LHR20 in Digital Realty. And in this case, we're going to do a FortiGate appliance. And you could see some of the other logos that pop up here, just like that slide. You can see the different options you have to deploy. All right, so I'm going to assign a CPU space to this device. We'll just do kind of a small version for today for the demo. And we'll drop the license on here. Grab my SSH key. And then on this device, I'm going to go ahead and add some think of this like, like a physical NIC on the device, but obviously this is a virtual deployment. But these will show up as ports. So I'm going to have port 1 here, and I'm going to go ahead and add port 2, just so you can see this as it kind of gets deployed. We'll do port 3 as well. And I'm just going to do this on no subscription, and we'll add this device. As soon as I click add, it's going to allow me to add a Megaport internet circuit. This way I can connect to it, obviously, right? So I'm going to build an SSH tunnel to this device, and we'll build that out in London. Same data center. And we'll just give it 100 meg. Now you notice those ports I created, I can assign that internet to one of the ports, and I'm just going to put the internet on port 1. I'm going to dedicate port 1 to the internet, and so I don't need to tag that port. It doesn't need a VLAN tag on it. When I add those other connections, I'm going to go ahead and put a VLAN tag on it. This way I can apply sub interfaces to those physical ports if I want to. No subscription, and we'll go ahead and add that guy. Now I'm going to order this, and this is going to take probably about 5 minutes to actually kick off the connection. So I'm going to go back and show you just kind of this in a drawing format, kind of some use cases while this is kicking off. And you'll notice that it's kind of building out the configuration now. The configuration, obviously, it's got to turn up that virtual appliance on top of the compute space. It's got to build out the network into the device, right? That internet connection into the device, and then boot up the FortiGate appliance. And as soon as that's all done, this will turn green, and then we can go in there and take a look at it. I'm going to go in here real quick to the internet, see if it, yep. So it assigned me an IP address already. So this will be important to have for SSH. So I'm going to grab that real quick. All right, so we look at virtual POP, just some kind of high level use cases, and that's what we're building out right now. So I built this out in London, obviously. I've got my potential users over here off to the left. This could be, your users or your internal users, but it also could be like an extranet, like partners, anybody you want to bring into your network, and you want to apply some sort of security posture to that. The other thing to note is I have a lot of customers doing this. I'm going to put a FortiGate on here. FortiGate, has some great features. You could do SD-WAN on there. You could do, full security. But I have a lot of other customers that kind of separate these functions. So they may have Palo Alto for security, and they may have, Aruba, Silver Peak solution for SD-WAN. in that case, you can certainly use the same solution in what we call service chaining. So you basically build two Megaport virtual edges and you just connect them together. And so you end up with the same concept, virtual POP, just two different devices to manage in that case. So this, basically I expanded the drawing out to kind of show you what that looks like now that we've added London. And so London's here, and we're just going to build a connection over to the Megaport Cloud Router. Cloud Router is already connected to GCP and AWS. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we're going to see those routes from the VPCs within the cloud providers be advertised over to London. And why do we do this? Well, a big thing is, and I'm showing you here, 76 milliseconds. That's approximately what the latency is going to be. Obviously, reduced latency, so increased network performance. Probably more important than that is the consistency of the network. So now we're on a private network that is going to be consistent, meaning that it's not going to fluctuate depending on what's going on the internet, right? So private backbone, and now I'm traversing the Atlantic Ocean across this private backbone versus potentially over the internet, which could have fluctuation, poor user experience, depending on the time of day or day of week. And so we can kind of stabilize that enterprise environment that way. All right, let me go check on this device here. All right, so that's good news. So the virtual device is up. We're still waiting on the internet to complete the configuration, but that'll be up shortly. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is from this virtual device, since it's up and running, I'm going to go ahead and build out that private connection. So private VXC, and I'm going to connect this back to that Megaport Cloud Router that's in Washington, D.C. area. And we'll go ahead and assign a bandwidth to that. And in this case, remember port 1 we use for the internet connection. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this to port 2. And I am going to put a VLAN on this guy. So we'll assign VLAN 100. And this way I can add multiple connections to that port. So VLAN 100 on port 2 is going to be connecting across the Atlantic. But if I ever need to bring in other regions, let's say I turn one up on the West Coast or one up in APAC, I can just add another VLAN, use that same port for connection for these connections. And we'll do no subscription on this one. And I'm going to go ahead and configure the BGP interface. So we'll just do apply a /30 to the interface, and we'll go ahead and add some BGP configuration. Real simple kind of setup for now. We're not going to do anything too complex. And we'll assign a AS number. This will be the AS number that goes on the FortiGate. So I got to remember that, 65100. And we'll go ahead and hit add.
Ryan, are you sharing?
Yeah. Are you able to see, Mike?
I'm seeing your video, no screen.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's try that again. Thanks for the heads up. All right. Check, Mike. Are we good?
We're good.
All right. Thanks, man. All right. So yeah, so I configured a BGP interface on the Megaport Cloud Router, and we'll go ahead and add this VXC. Excellent. Okay. So while that's being deployed, I'm going to go ahead and SSH into the Megaport Virtual Edge. So let me just open up a session here. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that IP address that got assigned to the interface. And that looks good. And we'll . having a problem with that IP address. Hold on one second. All right, hopefully this IP address works. That IP address got locked up in my system for some reason. And we'll try this guy. Oops, we're trying to connect to 51. Well, if this doesn't work, we'll just go through the drawing and kind of walk through it a little bit. But looks like I'm having problems with my SSH. Okay, hopefully this one works. Do a little troubleshoot on the fly here. Okay, so that internet circuit's not up yet, so that's why it's not connecting. But hopefully that works once that internet circuit comes up. Make sure that's the right IP address. 5. All right, well, I'm gonna leave this running. If this comes up, great. If not, that's okay. All right, so yeah, so that's the kind of the bottom line is kind of deploying these virtual edges kind of where you need them, dropping that appliance on that you want, and then being able to basically bring those local users or those local partners in, low impact from the internet perspective down here, and then bringing them across the private network into your backbone so they can connect to those cloud resources. And sorry, I'm unable to get an SSH, so I apologize for that. And Mike, do we have any questions while we're waiting for this?
We do not at this point. So feel free to
Okay.
put any question in the chat if you would like for the people on the line.
All right, and I'm going to show you one more thing, and then we'll just kind of wrap this up. So we do have Megaport documentation. This is very key. So when we're building out like this FortiGate appliance, I'd highly recommend you go here for really anything Megaport, screen by screen walkthrough of everything. So here's the virtual edge, and you'll see FortiGate here, and that's kind of what we're deploying right now. You can see kind of just overall architecture, some things to consider, planning your deployment, getting the license, those kinds of things. When you're creating the Megaport Virtual Edge, which is what I walked through, kind of the next step that you have to do, which unfortunately we're not going to have time to do today, is allow console access. So this basically, when you turn up a FortiGate, it's going to be SSH only access. And so this basically opens up the device so that you can connect to it via HTTPS. So you assign a password to it, you allow HTTPS, and then you can connect to it via FortiManager and manage that device however you see fit. And so this is kind of an important step, but go to docs.megaport.com, lots of information there in setting up these devices. And we'll just do one quick check if this is working. And if not, that's okay. We'll call it a wrap for today. Yeah, it typically doesn't take this long, especially since all right, so we'll give up on that, but hopefully that helped. Hopefully learning how to create Megaport Virtual Edge on the Megaport backbone. I'll do one more quick check. Mike, anything in the queue?
No, sir. I think we're good.
All right, that's it for me. Mike, any thoughts as far as what you've seen with customers?
Just that because of the flexibility of all the various vendors that we support, including FortiGate, Cisco, everything else that you showed when you first opened it up, provides a lot of branch site-to-site security options to access it without a last mile connection, which is huge. So that would be the point I would take home.
Cool. All right, everyone. Thanks for stopping by and checking out Megaport Live this week. Next week, we'll be back here. And so hopefully you can join us then. Again, my name is Brian Bowman. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Have a good weekend. See y'all.
Thank you.